The challenges that small municipalities face in delivering their infrastructure is a really interesting one. You know, just because you're not a city of 1 million people doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have any public infrastructure. You may have public infrastructure that's incredibly far beyond its useful life. You may have a key critical piece of infrastructure, whether it's a bridge or something else that, you know, is really going to be extraordinarily expensive to deliver. And there are a couple tools that the federal government has instituted recently that I think are specifically designed to address this particular problem. The first is, in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the federal government for the first time actually provided money specifically for public agencies to use to go out and get technical assistance, whether it's engineers, whether it's financial advisors, whether it's legal advisors, to help them deliver their big mega infrastructure projects. Specifically because of the point that we're talking about here, which is that just because you may not be a mega metropolitan area or a huge state doesn't mean that you don't have key infrastructure that may be very expensive to fix. The other issue is that under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the federal government did provide a tremendous amount of funding to be allocated through discretionary means instead of through a formula program. And so historically, if you look back at the way the federal government has actually funded public infrastructure, it's predominantly through formula, where the federal government will send a bunch of money to the states will then kind of allocate it for certain different needs, but they have a predictable stream of funding, and very, very little of that funding actually was kind of up for grabs for other entities beyond the state DOTs. That has changed now, especially in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, where a tremendous portion of that $1+ trillion is now available to go out by discretion of the federal government. And so the way this process works is the public agencies that are eligible for these funds will put together an application, describe the problem, describe their project, and submit it to the federal government for review. And so they are now able to access funds for these infrastructure projects that they never were before.